There's the American dream and the California dream. There's no Alabama dream. Eat your heart out, Texas, Tennessee, and Florida. This is California. The world looks to us to see that it's possible to live, advance, and prosper together across every conceivable difference. It's what makes this state great, that we don't tolerate that diversity as we once had, but we truly can look today and talk in terms of how we celebrate that diversity.
That was put together by a
wow.
Maze. I thought that was so perfectly spot on.
Wow, very well done. Tip of the hat to whoever did that. Wow.
That's a campaign ad being provided for Gavin Newsom for the future.
That'll help him. He doesn't have to pay for that one. He could just buy some time and roll it.
Yep. I mean, May said, hey, Gavin, feel free to use this as a campaign ad when you run in 2028.
Interesting. For free. I like that. Well, but this guy's in a tough spot. He wants to be arrested. He keeps saying he's taunting Trump to arrest him. Is that a good spot for a regular governor in general, Eric, in your imagination? Just to be in general, forget about the events. Just taunting the sitting president of the United States to please get it over with and arrest me.
Well, I think it's because he's saying, please let me be relevant. Please let me be relevant. But yeah, let's address that. So we.
To come and arrest him. Should he do it? I would do it if I were Tom. I think it's great. Gavin likes the publicity, but I think it would be a great thing. He's done a terrible job. Look, I like Gavin Newsom. He's a nice guy, but he's grossly incompetent. Everybody knows. All you have to do is look at the little railroad he's building. It's about 100 times over budget. We're putting a flagpole over there. Under budget. I always do under budget.
Oh my God. Oh my God. We're gonna miss him after this administration. I'll tell you that much.
Oh God, yeah. Did you speaking of the flagpole that you just mentioned, you see how he called over all the people worked on the flagpole?
Yeah.
Like,
no, get over here. Come on over here, my fellow workers. Come on.
I mean, you think Biden or anybody would do that, or Obama?
They would just keep walking, bro. He's like a magnet to this stuff. He wants to do it. He gets juice from it. You know, being said, I don't know what's going to happen now, because I don't know where these Marines were deployed that came in from 29 Palms, Eric. I thought they would come out of Camp Pendleton, but for some technical reason, they brought them out of 29 Palms. But I don't know where they're going. I don't know where the 700 go. I know the National Guard are just standing there guarding the federal buildings. They're not really engaged in anything. But you could say that frees up other forces, right?
Yes, it does.
I mean, you could say it frees up LAPD and California Highway Patrol and the Sheriff's Department.
Who are doing a great job.
Yeah, I mean, they are just overwhelmed. Not only that, I mean, you've got little girls tackling looters last night. I mean, little girls on the tactical squad, not just small, diminutive LAPD women who are in a patrol car. These are, and I bless their hearts for trying. These are tiny little women who are trying to take down looters last night, tackling them and just being flung off, you know, like a gnat by guys who are jacked out of their mind carrying Nike footwear. Not a good matchup.
No, not at all.
But they're understaffed, and I'm sure that the people who intentionally understaff them do not mind that they're getting criticism for their lack of tactical prowess.
No, I'm sure they don't. But you know who does know how to deal with some of the looters, it appears? Apple. You know how Apple store was raided, right?
Yeah.
Check this out.
Is that what was left behind by the looters?
Yeah. The phones themselves had an alarm go off on them. And there's a message on there saying, please return these. You are being tracked right now. Please return these. And the looters just threw them all on the ground. I mean,
wow.
That's the funny part is idiots. When you steal anything from the Apple store, or if you steal somebody's iPhone, if it's modern at all, it's a brick. If you can't get in it, it is completely bricked. You can't even reinstall the operating system because it's tied to somebody's iCloud
account. You're giving them way
account.
too much credit, Hunley.
Oh, I know that, but it's just
yeah. But you're right. No, you're right.
It's funny to see them chase their tail.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, it was not so funny to see them go into that sushi restaurant last night that was closed. They literally ripped the door off while they were just standing around doing nothing and went in and stole all the money. And then eventually cops showed up and there was some physicality going on for the last of the looters coming out with chopsticks and some soy sauce, but pretty much the first guys took the money going in there. None of that, like I was watching Mark Halperin today and he
He's
just
getting tired of it.
moved. What? Oh my God! I could Eric, right?
Yeah, well, and
Holy
Dan
cow,
too. I mean,
even Dan, yeah.
They're like, oh my God, Dan talked about it too. He's like, you're making a complete joke out of our party. You have no message. What are you doing, etc. But yeah, they're
Wow, what a mess. I mean, even Dan turned on them. Yeah, I mean, this Karen Bass seems, and she went on CNN. They showed her the statistics and the polling numbers, and she just simply fought back, saying, "I don't believe those are the numbers."
Oh, she said if you poll in Los Angeles,
right in the barrio on a Tuesday night after you serve them tacos, I think you'll get a different number. CNN.
Yep. Actually, I have that.
If you poll in the parking lot of Home Depot in Paramount, California, I think CNN, you'd get a different number than that.
Well, it is pretty embarrassing when CNN is confronting her.
Are Democrats out of touch on this issue?
Well, I think if you did the polling in Los Angeles, I'm not sure it would be that way, considering we are a city of immigrants. And then
can I ask something? I just want to stop there because she keeps saying this. Are other cities do not have any immigrants, or just this city is the city of immigrants? Like if San Antonio has no immigrants, or New York
Tucson or Phoenix,
how about New York? That might be a city of immigrants. I mean, the conflation of immigrants with illegal immigrants by this Marxist mayor, nobody confronts her about it, and she does it over and over and over and over again. This has nothing to do with immigrants. My grandparents are immigrants. They're not involved. Well, they're not. My great-grandparents are immigrants. They're not involved in this political charade. Nobody who's a legal immigrant and is an American, and an immigrant is not even a status, Eric, right? Because if you're a legal immigrant, I think that means you're an American by this point.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not even a debatable point. By eliminating the word illegal or undocumented or whatever the word you have to put as an adjective in front of that, you're saying that all immigrants are either illegal immigrants or all illegal immigrants are Americans.
Yep. Well, here, let's talk about who disagrees with her.
Okay, go ahead. Maybe there's somebody.
Immigrants.
Start off with the fact that immigrant citizens, immigrant voters, foreign-born voters have gone tremendously to the right on this issue in 2024
gotta love this guy.
versus where they were in 2020.
Whoa.
Do you know who his uncle is?
No,
Neil
I don't even know
Sedaka.
who he is. Who is it?
Neil Sedaka is his uncle.
That's insane.
I'm not kidding. I had to look at
What a bizarre nepotistic world.
Democrats, get this, held a 32-point lead.
Is this a
on
40-point swing, Eric?
In the Democratic camp.
Yes.
Jump forward to 2024, 2025. Look at that shift, a 40-point shift.
Thank you,
to the
Sedaka
right
Jr.
Among immigrant voters. Republicans now lead on this issue by 8 points over Democrats, more so than any other group.
This is with immigrants. Keep that in mind.
Find the group of voters who became more hawkish on immigration were in fact immigrants themselves, immigrants who are
because they jumped through hoops, Eric. They did every single thing. They're not schmucks. They don't want to be made fools out of. You know what the biggest fool is? And police will tell you this. Someone who's been conned by a professional confidence person is the last person to call the police because they're embarrassed. Any cop will tell you this. Anyone who's been conned, hustled, or even beaten in a 3-card Monte game is extremely reluctant. And con men factor that in because you've been hustled. You're embarrassed to tell the police that you were conned because, as Joe Montana and David Mamet say, everyone who falls victim in a con goes into the con thinking they're going to hustle the con. You know what I'm talking about, Eric? Right. So once you get conned, you go up, and I'm exaggerating, but you go up and say, I could win this 3-card money game. I'm really smart. I got great eyes. I got fast hands. Then they con you, rip you off, and take your money, $200 or $300. They split and leave. And now what are you going to do? Call the cops? You're completely embarrassed.
And
completely,
keep in mind, the reason why you fall for the con is greed.
yes.
So already you're
But it's
saying,
also
"Oh, I'm going to get
arrogant.
something for nothing."
It's also
Yeah.
arrogance. Greed
Sure.
is a separate emotion. You believe that you could beat the con man at his own game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's weird.
That is true. And I will tell you, being from Tucson,
Yeah.
nobody hates illegals more than American-born Latinx or Mexicans or whatever. Believe me.
Right. Or
you
even
want to hear negative terms about them.
You could be foreign born and be illegal American, gone through the paperwork.
That's
and
true
everything.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm talking about the families and whatever. But
Absolutely.
Cernovich actually brought up a good point. And I didn't even think about it. A lot of these troublemakers and nightmares are actually anchor babies. Their parents came here
Interesting.
and kept their nose down and kind of worked their asses off.
Right.
But then their children, who sadly were stuck with because they've slid in as the anchor baby, are the ones that are burning everything down.
You know what? I think you're right. And this is anecdotal on my part, but thinking about the people that I've seen and the interviews and everything, they seem to be this 20-something generation. You know what I mean? They're in their mid-20s, high teens to like 30. And they're working all these La Raza jobs, NGO jobs, city office jobs. And they're the ones who are the most embittered.
Right. I didn't say Latinx. Whoever said that. What? Okay. People are accusing me. I don't believe in the whole Latinx and
even the Latins don't believe in it. You're not alone. I mean, even they don't.
No, I know it's so funny seeing the liberals come out and update the articles. This article has been updated because I've come to learn that is an offensive term to let have a little struggle session in the comments, which is kind of
funny.
What
Mark David Mamet said about the pronouns. He said that's the new edition of comrade from the socialist Soviet Union. In other words, when you introduce yourself to another communist, you call each other comrade. He said that's what the pronouns are. It's a code word that you're part of this communist takeover revolution and Marxism. Because regular people like you and me and millions of others do not have pronouns, because we're not comrades. It's another coded message is what he was saying.
But what I agree with him 100%. And it's just like masks. I like them. I like that people put them there because now I know. Okay, thank you for self-identifying as a twat.
Well, he said, Trump said he's going to outlaw masks at public demonstrations. I don't know how you do that, but I guess you can sign an executive order to do it, but how do you enforce it?
Yeah, that might be a state issue. I guess it depends.
Right, Eric, right. How do you enforce that? And people are going to say, fuck you, I got COVID. Blow me.
Well, and then he'll run into the whole, I'm sorry, it's my religion. And
you got it. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare.
Because there are, ironically, before COVID, masks were banned in a lot of places.
Every 7-Eleven, every 7-Eleven had a sign saying no hats, no masks in LA. You couldn't come in wearing a hat or a mask.
And there were lawsuits from Muslims saying no, and they lost. Because they're trying to say, no, you have to take that mask off for an ID, for example. And sorry.
Well, everyone was wearing a mask yesterday at these riots and demonstrations and lootings. And then out of the blue, a truck pulled up, or not just one truck, multiple trucks, out-of-state plates being driven by white college kids with brand new gas masks. I mean, I wish I was there for that. They were just literally hundreds and hundreds in these trucks, passing them out, and they were big square boxes with a brand. I mean, they must be like $150, $200 item. I mean, what a thing to get.
I am curious what the cost is for a gas mask.
I mean, look it up. I don't know. These were full-on big ones, not the little ones.
Let me see.
Full face shield gas masks.
Oh, well, Amazon claims that it's $30 for one.
What does it look like? Does it look like a big one, or?
Because
there's some little versions with
Well, it looks like the one that Hassan is wearing. That idiot.
Okay, all right.
Hold on.
Just trying to see if it looks like the one. No, it wasn't this. It was much bigger. It was bigger than that. It was like a big square face thing. These I've seen. Yeah, these I've seen for $30. Yeah, these are really the bottom of the totem pole economically. These look like much better items. But nevertheless, They were supplying their armies from behind enemy lines. They were bringing in supplies in the middle of the battle. They were bringing in, that wasn't it either. They were bringing in water. They were bringing in supplies. They were bringing in everything. And at one point last night, 100 cars and SUVs with Mexican flags in a straight caravan drove all the way from somewhere, I believe probably the south in Orange County, right into the downtown area. They were immediately backed up for miles, honking their horns, waving giant Mexican flags. And the LAPD did not even have the presence of mind to close the streets like 20 blocks up. The stupidity. I mean, I got to have Al and Alan look at this, because they continue to allow the protesters to take the overpasses over the 101 and drop concrete blocks on them, when all they had to do was put 2 armored personnel vehicles on either end of the bridge. There's multiple bridges for people who don't know.
It's almost like they want it to happen.
But these cops were trapped underneath. They lost, I want to say, right at Alameda, there are 7 completely destroyed brand new SUVs at $100,000 a pop. They're gone. They're completely destroyed. And the cops were pinned down underneath the bridge. Why they continue to not clear this bridge is inexplicable to me.
That's why I'm saying this feels intentional. You think
okay?
All right. You think none of those cops, I mean, look, cops are pretty smart, and they would look and go, hey, that's high ground. Hey, I'm down here. Let's go up there. And I'm sure that if you track the radio calls, and that would be a great audit to find out if they're saying,
no freaking kidding.
We would like to go take the bridge. Do not go on top of it. I would love to see if there are orders.
Karen Bass was caught dealing directly with the incident commander, bypassing the chief of police the other night and the deputies, and she was giving orders to the incident commander in complete violation of LAPD policy the other night. And she will destroy those texts. She did it with the fires. She did it with the fires in Altadena, and she did it with the fires in the Palisades. The LA Times is suing her because it is state law and city law to keep those texts and emails for 2 years. She said, "Fangu, I'm destroying them, and I'm turning over these cooking recipes that are on my phone," which is what she did. So I would love the FBI.
I was going to say that could get, the FBI might be able to pull jurisdiction, because if
they did it in New York, they seized every one of Adams's phones, all of his aides' phones. What is LA like, above the fray? I don't get how they get away with this here. Again, they've jailed many city councilmen here in recent years. So it's not like they're completely getting away with it, but I think they're
which could mean that it's coming. I know everybody wants it to happen tomorrow or something, but the same agents who have been busting the council members might already be tapped into the phones. They might already be running warrants. They could be running wires. They could be doing a lot of things we don't know about right now.
Well, the tactical unit of the California Highway Patrol came down and seized one of the overpasses that was parallel to the Alameda one. In case people don't know, the 101 is a U.S. highway, runs all the way to Canada. And it runs through the artery, the middle of LA. It's like the main thoroughfare. So every time there's a protest, they come down the ramp and they block the 101, and the LAPD allows them to do that. You could be in your car in Sacramento trying to get here and you're backed up. That's how far up it goes. Once they take down the 101, they have no system to prevent them. They don't block the ramps. They don't put a truck there. They don't remove them. They look at them for hours and hours and hours. Nobody could go anywhere. The entire state is blocked. And they did it for these protests the last 3 nights. And they literally did not even protect the overpasses, which is so easy to do, Eric. And they started to drop concrete blocks on everybody, hitting the cops in the head, crushing the vehicles, and more importantly, shutting the entire highway. And yet they did not proceed to the overpass.
Oh, yeah. Trump was talking about that earlier.
Oh, really?
Where these, and he said these are professionals who are doing it. When you were talking about the concrete, where do you think the concrete came from? They brought sledgehammers, busted up curbs, handed them out to throw it off. I mean, that's coordinated.
Well, let me tell you how more coordinated it is. Each kid shows up with a backpack with one cinder block in their backpack. Every kid has one cinder block. This is in their directives. Then the ball peen hammer guys go to work on the cinder block, sometimes keeping it in the bag. A lot of the better kids know there'll be a guy with a sledgehammer who will sledgehammer that backpack with the cinder block in it. 2 cinder blocks is too heavy. So they're directed to bring 1. Now, the curb stuff is gravy. That's hard to count on the curb because you're just kind of chipping away at the curb. But when you have 500 kids bringing a cinder block apiece in a backpack, that gets broken down pretty quickly to 80 to 90 chunks of concrete, smaller ones that you can pelt, which is what they do every time. Jim McDonald, the chief of police, said these are professionals. They know how to distract us. They know how to disrupt us. They're from out of town. I don't think they're from out of town. They're simply from out of the country. Sure. I mean, they're selling Mexican flags at the riot yesterday. I've never seen that done.
Which by the way, that is the one part of this that is the best thing ever, that they're waving the Mexican flag. That is giving Trump the green light, in my opinion, to say, this is an invasion. This is a foreign entity who is invading us. So I can invoke the Insurrection Act. I mean, they're waving the flag. That's why, and I know you shared it like in the Reddit, the guys they're saying, stop with the damn Mexican flags.
No, now they're selling American flags with the Mexican flag on the back. They saw the media thing and they adjusted in battle. I mean, these are professionals. This is not random, Eric. I mean, they called in more Waymos today to burn. I mean, this Waymo burning thing.
Well, I can't. But how the hell are you going to tell me the alphabet is stupid enough to keep? They supposedly shut the service down. So if they're calling more in, then they deserve them to be burnt because.
Okay, let me explain it. They're calling them into other locations. The person is getting in at another location and then proceeding to the location. Thank you. Welcome to the game.
Why shut the whole city down?
They won't do that. They just won't do it.
No,
LAPD won't even close the streets down. There's people driving through in the middle of a riot. They're just driving through looky-loos going, hey, look at this. And they're waving Mexican flags. I mean, it's astounding how inept they are. And I don't know if it's ineptitude or just understaffing or just the best people have left. I really don't know. But compared to NYPD, it is a child show going on out here with these cops. Now, you know, first of all, you got 3 different units. You got LAPD, you got Sheriff's Department, you got California Highway Patrol. Now they're bringing in the Marines. So what McDonald was saying is this is a logistical nightmare. Trump has not coordinated intentionally with LAPD because that would mean giving Karen Bass all your military secrets, and she would then broadcast them to the protesters. So Trump is refusing to allow the Marine commander to coordinate his movements with Chief of Police Jim McDonald, who is outraged that he can't coordinate with the Marine commander at this point, and it's intentional.
Right. Well, I mean, it is kind of a box. By the way, you know, Gavin Newsom and the Attorney General were suing over the National Guard coming in.
Where does that go? I don't understand. What is that?
Tell you where
I'm suing you over what?
Well, here we go.
Judge has denied the state of California's request to stop Trump from using the California National Guard to keep the peace and keep order during these protests. CNN's Elena Treen is at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, where President Trump is speaking. And Elena, that's a big development, the judge denying California's request. Tell us about that, and tell us what the president has been saying in his Fort Bragg speech.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge deal for the president here and his administration. And we heard just moments ago the president saying that he wants to liberate Los Angeles and really attacking Governor Gavin Newsom and Mayor Bass for the way that they've been responding to him calling in the National Guard and the Marines to go and try and quell these protests. Where obviously, I'm sure if he's...
No, we get the point. But
yeah, we get the point, lady.
I'm like, blah, 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 blah.
They all look the same. You ever notice that? They all have that smirky look. They're like brunettes of the same size with the same smirky, swaggering attitude. But I didn't know that Jake Tapper went back there. I thought he was done.
He went back, but no, he never left.
Oh,
However, newsflash, breaking headline: Terry Moran out at ABC.
Yeah. Well, you got to give a tip your hat to ABC for doing that. I mean, it's surprising that they did that. I mean, it caught me off guard. Bravo.
I think they had to. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
The $15 million lighter already from,
It was
from Trump.
They knew that Trump could sue them for Moran.
Yes. I mean, and what I love too is the guy who broke it was Brian Setzer or whatever.
Brian Setzer, the fat guy. Yeah.
Yeah, the idiot.
Oh, by the way, the Associated Press, the appeals court ruled that they don't have to be let in to the White House.
I saw
they
that.
vindicated Trump on that ban of the AP.
Yeah, do you think it's going to go all the way to Supreme Court?
Good luck. I mean, if that liberal court said it's a no-go, take us to Supreme Court. I don't think they'll take the case. I think they have bigger fish to fry than that particular problem, in my humble opinion.
Oh, Stelter. Yeah, I couldn't.
Brian Stelter. Yeah, Brian Stelter. Yeah.
I know Brian Setzer's from the Stray
Brian
Cats.
Setzer from the Stray
He's
Cats.
a good guy.
Also from Massapequa with Seinfeld and myself and others. The Baldwins all lived in the same 1 mile square radius, apparently.
Or as Homer Simpson says, no, I think it's Seltzer.
All right. So what else you got there in the hopper?
Okay, we've got
you have any footage of this riots or any
yeah, I mean there's a bunch of different stuff. You sent me 3 things earlier. Are these videos you took yourself live?
Yeah, I shot them. Let's take a look at some. If you see something you like, just put it out. If not, it doesn't matter.
Well, what I recommend everybody check out an account called BG on the Scene. I forgot his last name is Brian something or another, but he has been taking footage all over the place.
There's a bunch of guys. AXN News is another one. AXN News finally last night got pepper sprayed and he had to go home and he's packing it in and he's blind and he's driving like through LA. He's still filming. And once you got out of the area, there was no traffic. So he's just going, okay, my sight's coming back now, man. I could see some things. Okay, it was blurry. And dude, what a warrior. And not only that, Eric, in the middle of the battle, he's taking super chats. And he's going, thank you so much, Mario. Yeah, I'm still your boy. I'm here. I'm in the fight, Mario. Thank you for your super chat, bro.
Good for him.
YouTube warrior.
All right. Good for him. Now they're saying they love ice. Is that what they're saying? I love ice.
I love ice. Yeah, I love ice.
They want an intercourse with ice.
It's so funny because you could tell that these people just came in. Some of the cops are wearing pajamas and sneakers. You could tell that they were. Oh no, it's like, dude, you got to see. Some of them were called to active duty out of their beds.
Oof. Well, that's the thing. I think it's a failure in leadership.
It is.
I refuse to think that seasoned veteran cops are in the mix. Now, I understand that rookies may not know, but there are like captains and
not only that, I mean, this is not our first trip to the rodeo here. This is riot season for us. This is one of the Waymos burned to the ground. LAPD putting out a memo saying those black fumes are quite toxic. Nobody seemed to care. They were posing for pictures in the middle of them with Mexican flags all day and night. They'll probably sue the city for bronchial problems.
I'm sure they will. Yeah. And they'll probably win.
Yeah.
And you took this?
No, that's from AXN.
I'm setting up my other camera.
You know how toxic that smoke is?
Oh, it's horrible. Yeah. No, it's environmental hazard stuff.
Yeah, it is an environmental hazard. Well, we could just keep it short. I just wanted to show some actual footage of what's going on.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's spreading, right, Eric? Isn't it spreading down to Austin? There was Dallas. Other cities are now joining the party.
Yeah, sadly, it's just like the weather. Your idiocies. Heading east.
Heading east.
There was some footage with this goofball correspondent yesterday that I saw.
Go ahead. You put it that way. We have a zero lawsuit policy. In other words, anyone, this has evolved over 20 years, but anyone who sues the LAPD for excessive force in one of these protests, the city of LA has voted to pay the person out without a trial. Yeah. Think about that as a lawyer, Viva. If you lived in a city
salivating, Viva,
where you can be hired for any single case of police misconduct against your client, and it's an automatic, no trial, automatic payout.
Yeah,
it's just a subject of negotiation. I don't want to talk over this guy, but they have voted in the city. They have voted in the city council that it's not worth it to go to trial in any of these cases because it would cost the city more money. So they reach an agreement in every single case, depending on what you can negotiate. Think about that from a legal point of view. And I'm talking about not just protesting. I'm talking about the police abuse somebody during the arrest. They rough them up. They beat the guy up, whatever it is. The city takes the taxpayers' money and does not contest it. They literally give it to the grumps and the lawyers who come chasing ambulances in LA. It's a shocking thing. I don't know how it's legal. In other words, they take taxpayers' money, they give it to the guy who represents the guy, the victim, and he takes a third, and they call it a day.
Yeah, can you imagine what a great gig it would be? I mean, like that, you have to be the capital of ambulance chasers. I would be going,
yeah.
Every lawyer would just be salivating like crazy. It's, I got to find a victim of police violence no matter what.
Oh, no, they are.
And chase them down.
That's what they do. They have people beating the bushes looking for this with videos, and then they go to the city council and they go to the police and they go, we're going to have to settle.
To me, that does nothing but encourage
of course
more of it too. Like how many people out there are going to deliberately egg on cops?
They do. That's the point.
Whatever they can to draw a little bit of violence.
That's what was happening all night last night. I mean, they're spitting in their face. They allow them, shockingly, they allow them to get within spitting distance instead of putting up a barricade and two saw horses, and saying, you stay over there, we stay over here. They allow them to literally get in their face. And some of them snap and they beat them down and then they sue them.
Wow.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. By the way, somebody, this has been going around. I didn't know if you've seen it. I don't know if we can legally do it, but maybe we could. In Japan, apparently they handle these rioters by spraying them with indelible blue dye.
I saw that.
And I'm like, it's not the worst idea in the world if you think about it.
It's like, it washes off. I mean,
well, like it takes a week or two before it'll finally come up, and then you just go round them up. It's like, who's got the dye? Here you go.
Well, they'll hide out in their lair, for a week.
Oh, well, you know what? They won't be rioting then, will they?
No, it takes them off the playing field. But they have made, and he was embarrassed about this, Jim McDonald, the chief of police. He was embarrassed. They only made 58 arrests so far, 10,000 protesters tearing the city apart. And he said, surprisingly, only 58 arrests. I am not happy about it. That's what he said. He said, but we will get them all after the fact because we have video. And I'm going to myself, what schmuck believes this? What schmuck believes that they're going to look at video and go, where did that guy come from, Bob? Where do you think he lives? I mean, are you kidding me? First of all, they're all wearing masks. They're all wearing hoodies. They're all wearing goggles. Okay. Now what do you do? But even if they weren't, where do you begin to find these people who are just in the middle doing something violent, running in and out of a store? I've never heard of any mass arrests happening after a riot by using video technology.
Not mass. They'll find particular ones.
They'll pick off it, right.
Like they've tracked down or they've figured out who the one dude is that was throwing the
well, they had so much footage
officials.
of him. They had so much footage of him, even without his mask on. So that was luck, I think. But you know what Adam Carolla said today? Carolla's been covering it too. He said their cops have guns, right? And they can use lethal force. And it's like a guy going into a bank. He has one gun, he pulls it out, and he says, it's 45 people in the bank. And he says, I'm robbing this mother effing bank. And they all hit the dirt, right? Because he's got a gun. He said, imagine if they were told in the bank that he can't use the gun. They would beat the living shit out of him. And he said, that's what LAPD has. A gun they can't use.
He's not far off.
The fact that, no, it was a pretty good analogy. Meaningless response, meaningless ability to empower themselves over the criminals.
Well, I mean, there are other places that have dealt with riots in the past, and sometimes you can track them down because the bones are broken. But anyway,
they've even sued successfully for using rubber bullets over against LAPD, collecting huge checks for using rubber bullets. It's now descended to that. They've sued over tasers. They've sued over Ziploc handcuffs. They've sued over being arrested and held down while they were doing it. Every single aspect of the arrest and the protest from the protesters' side has been successfully sued and paid out in the city of Los Angeles.
Wow.
Now, what do you do if you're the commander of a unit? You just stand there. That's all they do is stand there. They will shoot a tear gas thing every once in a while to push them back, and it is somewhat effective. And they will shoot rubber bullets into the crowd, which are kind of this big around, Well,
what about the bean bags or whatever?
They don't use that anymore. The bean bag's out, apparently.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to the bean bags. But the rubber bullets are pretty big. And they hurt, they sting. But even that they sue for.
Well, and they cry about too. It's like, oh, it just drives me crazy. But hey, you know what? There is one guy who could probably be tracked.
Who?
This one.
Oh yeah, this guy, because he has something on his ankle, Eric. What is that?
I don't know. Is it a new fashion statement?
I mean, look at this couple. They are Mr. and Mrs. Mexico, trying to do something. I don't know. They're selling T-shirts or what's going on.
I don't know what they're doing, but I guess he's at home. Are we at his house? Because I think that's how those things work, isn't it?
I don't know, but this thing on the bottom here is a logo, I think, for ocean drainage that goes out to the ocean. I think that's the insignia for sewage that goes to the ocean. So he may be at the beach.
Could be. That does look like sand behind him.
Yeah, I think he's at the beach. That's Venice. Anyway, so yeah, he's one of the best and brightest that they sent over to us. What about Halpern showing his kid the escalator that Trump came down in Trump Tower? And he said to his son, this is the world's most famous escalator, son. And he says, Dad, he says, I was here when Trump came down the escalator talking about Mexico sending us not their best and brightest and rapists and everything else. And he said to his son, this is the famous escalator, it's the most famous escalator in the world. And his son looks at him and he goes, Dad, what's the second most famous escalator in the world? And he said, I have no idea.
Okay.
Very funny.
Kids can keep you straight.
Yeah.
And keep you humble. All right. Well, we'll shift. I'm sure we may get caught up in this again, but sadly, Sly and the family Stone passed away.
Oh, yeah. I saw that in the corner of my eye this morning. I want to take you higher. I've seen him twice in my life, one at Woodstock, where they put them on the national stage, and then one at Madison Square Garden, which was insane. At the peak of their fame, it was like a rock soul unit with his entire family. He had a cousin who was playing a black girl cousin who played trumpet, Cynthia something or other. I mean, it was probably the first rock and roll interracial rock band. That's probably what he's known for the most.
Yeah, he's
and white guys
crossover from R&B for sure.
Yeah, but also had white guys, Latinos, and blacks in the same band, and no mainstream act. I'm sure there's minor acts that had that, but no mainstream act had that at the time. And it was, dude, that band rocked. I got to tell you, it was quite a sound. I mean, he put himself into the Hall of Fame, at Woodstock with their set that they did. But even seeing them afterwards was amazing.
Now,
and he he had some issues, but
I
nevertheless.
was going to say, didn't he have some personal problems that separated him from the band and whatever?
Yeah, but not unusual. Not unusual, but just a brilliant band leader. You know, I don't know what he was as a person. I don't really, never met the guy or anything, but just a fantastic band leader. I mean, in a way, like Ike Turner, I guess.
Yeah, well, he had some history.
Yeah.
that was an interesting relationship. But yeah, I mean, obviously he's going to be missed. That's a true legend. Definite Hall of Famer.
Yep.
I saw this story and was going to
just
bring
a quick shout out. We beat the Padres last night, 8-7 in 10 innings down in San Diego. One of the best games I've seen in years. Game 2 tonight, game 3 tomorrow. Fantastic series. I recommend it to everyone. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. We have an issue with different social challenges and whatever, and apparently this Arizona teenager, Rena O'Rourke, passed away with a huffing challenge. I guess
that's a new one.
Apparently.
Yeah.
And,
well, it is odorless.
Dusting challenges, what they call it.
You can take dust off and do it. It'll stop your breathing. Really, that's probably what happened to her.
And sadly,
inhalants are very dangerous. You know, not only do you lose brain cells, but in terms of breathing, it could turn off your breathing. It could freeze your lungs, depending on which one you're doing. If it was dust off, or whippets, or depending on what it was. I mean, it's really freaking dangerous. I mean, if that's a new internet challenge, expect more of the same.
I know, and I'm hoping it stop. I mean, those things. It's like no wonder, China is pushing TikTok, because that's the worst place for these crazy challenges and stupid things and pranks.
Did you see the chlorine Pepsi Cola bomb this chick put together? This black chick that blew up in her face.
Yes,
that was another one.
It's another one. And on that same note, we have this Natalie Reynolds, who is a influencer on TikTok. Now, people are having fun with her because this was her over the weekend. This is her outside the TikTok headquarters. Yeah, you banned my account. Let me in.
She actually went. She went.
Yeah, no, that's her at the headquarters.
Wow, more power to you, lady.
Crying her eyes out because she got banned off of TikTok.
What does she do? What was on her?
Well, she likes to prank people. Like,
oh no, Eric.
This is what she decided to do with a homeless person.
Oh my God.
No. All right. I was, why I wasn't going to? Because my feet were getting
You should
hot.
just jump in right now.
But I'm going to jump in with my shoes on.
Okay.
Ready?
Yeah. Ready?
And she thought it would be funny to give this homeless person $20 to jump in. Turns out they, guess what? They can't swim. They had to have rescue people go and pull it out. She just thinks this stuff is hilarious. So,
well, we've had this before where they've set bums on fire. I mean, this is not the first time we've been through this as a culture. Remember the bum fights? We had the bum fights, bums on setting homeless people on fire.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm happy to see that she
couldn't get through the door.
Lost her account. I mean, well, come on. Where do we find these things acceptable? There have to be consequences. This is not a free speech thing causing people to harm. That goes too far, and it's ridiculous in my opinion. Now we've got another case, social media. I was like, oh man, these are all rolling together.
Wow.
This happened over the weekend.
What do you got?
And literally live on stream outside the Bellagio in Las Vegas, a competing streamer. So this is like there was one YouTuber and another YouTuber, and they had beef, if you will.
The two streamers had beef?
They had beef. And the one streamer was with his wife by the Bellagio, and apparently he had done a 5-hour stream mocking the other streamer or whatever at some point.
I see. Right,
this other streamer came in and killed them both. Shot them down in front of the Bellagio.
Let me tell you something. There is
so
so
this
much
weekend.
shit going on at that Bellagio. I was there a couple of weeks ago. There is so many dramatic things going on, and it's like a city in there. You know, it's like being inside of a city. There's beefs going on, fights, it's just crazy. People gambling, people smoking, people vaping. I mean, I'm not surprised.
I'm not either, but well, we were both there. I was at the Bellagio, I think, the same time you were, right?
There? Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we went to check that out, and they have the fountains that
Oh,
go
yeah, the
off
fountains.
every
Yeah, I went to see
hour.
that whatchamacallit, water show by the acrobatic team.
I didn't get that one, but anyway, I've got this other story that I need to know more about. I just know about the headlines, but I thought it was very, very interesting. You know how we keep talking about limited hangouts and the CIA and how, when they inject themselves into things, they help spur on conspiracies? Well, it turns out they're not the only ones who do it.
Mm.
Apparently, the Pentagon secretly planted Area 51 UFO conspiracy theory to hide a classified weapons program.
Well, I think we've known that for a while, right? Or is this more evidence of it?
Well, this is pretty new. It's starting to come out, and
well, to me, it was always the weapons program. Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, that's why I have trouble getting on board saying, yeah, definitely UAPs, definitely not, definitely, because
I always thought it was hiding a weapons program from day one. That was always I never had evidence of it, but because they used that base for our own high-tech air stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, we were actually testing nukes in all over Nevada.
Right. I mean, if Area 51 was in the middle of Ohio, I would give it more credence than to put it in a military base and where it is. I mean, that was always the dead giveaway to me, that it was right there.
Yes. And it's also a great, easily protected. It's not like you could sneak up on it. That's
right. Right.
It's like, but anyway, I just thought that was a very interesting, fun story. Now,
well, look how that story's disappeared. I mean, remember Michael Schellenberger was testifying about UAPs, and Elizondo was testifying, and the drone story disappeared. Trump said
who was involved with that testimony though, with the UAPs? Your favorite Congresswoman, Luna.
Oh yeah,
remember?
She said that was on her list.
Right, but remember, she froze out like one of the UAP people. It was a weird little thing that went down. Weird little thing that went down.
Well, what happened to the Kennedy file hearings? Is that going on, or like what is the status of that?
I don't know. Ask your buddy Morley. I mean, he seems to be in charge of it ultimately.
Okay, Director Morley, over. Come in, Morley. I don't recognize myself, boys.
All right. We sometimes get stories sent by different people, and a regular viewer who's been at multiple meetups, Dustin, sent in some stories that were interesting. This one here is, you might enjoy this. 6 were charged in a multi-million-dollar scheme targeting food stamps in the New York area.
Tonight, 6 people are now charged with a huge fraud and bribery scam targeting food stamps. Listen to this. One of the arrested people in this, a USA employee, that's the government agency that oversees food stamp.
By the way, it's USDA, not
USDA. Yeah, USA.
Benefits, according to the Justice Department.
Well, when I first heard, I said, did she say USAID?
She said.
Yeah, I know, but she meant USDA.
They had an insider here who was either printing cards or rerouting accounts.
No, this is the best part.
Okay.
The USDA employee who worked in the fraud division.
That's a good place to work if you're a fraudster.
You're going to be fraud.
Get in there. Classes are still forming. There's plenty of jobs.
Yeah, his is more of a how-to.
Well, how many pyromaniacs become firemen, Eric?
A lot.
Right.
That is not uncommon at all.
Everybody who worked at the Girl Scouts in New York was a lesbian. Every executive.
Well, you know what? You brought up Corolla. Corolla goes on and on about that frequently, how he doesn't trust anybody who wants to be a scout leader or anybody who volunteers to be around kids. He's like, look, I have kids. Last place I want to be is around the freaking kids. Anytime somebody comes up saying volunteer, he said, I want the person to say, no, man, no, God, no, I got a game. And he's trying to get, he said, that's who I want to be the scout leader.
Right.
I don't want somebody who's going, oh, I would like to do
Same thing as a baseball coach. Yeah, a little league coach. You don't want that. You got a guy who says, nah, I don't have the time to do. I know I played semi-pro ball as a kid. I really don't have time. Not to go, yeah, I'll coach the kids.
Yeah, I mean, but well, it's just almost dealing with the rioting and everything else. We could be seeing more going on this weekend as DC's preparing for Trump's military parade.
Wow.
I didn't realize his birthday and Flag Day were the same day.
I didn't know it was this summer. I thought it was next summer.
Well, this is
this the 250th anniversary thing?
Of the Army, but not of the country.
Oh,
of the Army. We did have an army before the country, technically.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
The Continental Army. But anyway, so
is that where the term continental breakfast comes from the Continental Army?
Yeah, I'm sure. where you would stay at a hotel and have 3 hots and a cot.
Right. Well, maybe they had continental breakfast for the guys, on the go.
Well, it is something to worry about, especially because I don't know if you saw
this parade.
Yeah.
Oh,
this
okay.
Parade, the holiday. I mean, with all the things that are going on right now.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, good point.
We also have the I swear I'm trying to. I have so many things bookmarked. It's insane. But the head of Al Qaeda was here. We go. And
that's a good job, head of Al Qaeda. How long do you stay at that job before you move on? Like, where do you go after that? You go, hey, I'm looking to move up. I was the head of Al Qaeda.
Yeah,
like, where do you go?
Maybe ISIS is hiring.
The United Nations, maybe. You'd be like a special envoy.
Well, you could be head of Syria.
Head of Syria. Okay, I'll take that.
There you go. There's room. See, there's room to grow.
Yeah.
All right, this guy here.
Who's this guy?
This is a leader in Al Qaeda.
Okay.
ثم إننا ندعو ومن الآن كإجراء عملي أولي كل مسلم على أرض أمريكا الكافرة المجرمة المتغطرسة سواء أكان من أصول عربية أم أمريكية أو غيرها المهم أن يكون دينه الإسلام ونبيه محمدا عليه الصلاة والسلام والذين بلغ تعدادهم 4 مليون ونصف المليون مسلما في أمريكا وحدها نقول لهم جميعا الثأر لا تشاوروا أحدا في قتل الأمريكان الكفرة ولتكن همتكم كبيرة وقائمة استهدافاتكم مؤثرة فدونكم عتاة الأرض وأكابر مجرميها فهذا ترامب ونائبه وهذا مستشاره وداعمه ماليا وإداريا وتقنيا إيلون ماسك وهذان وزيرا خارجيته ودفاعه وأهلوهم أجمعين وكل من يمت لساسة البيت الأبيض بصلة أو قرابة.
Obviously,
surprisingly, he's got more subscribers than Hunley and I on the same channel. He's got his YouTube channel, and he doesn't even get copyright infringements. Who is that guy? The guy calling for our deaths? The head of Al Jazeera?
Yes, his name is Saad bin Atif al-Awlaki. I don't know how to say the names very well, but anyway,
you think he's
literally
for real?
Saw that he's called.
Is he for real?
Yeah, I think he is for real.
No, I mean, because some of these are just small towns.
Well, this is Laura Loomer. She's decent.
Oh no, she's on it then. She knows these guys. I don't know who that is, but that looked like a real video by a real guy.
Well, no, it's a very legitimate threat. I mean, you have all this going on right now at the riots, and then you have somebody who literally just threatened the entire chain of the government. The top of the.
Do they have his email address?
I don't know, but they might know how to get a hold of him. I'm not sure. But
send him a free cell phone, like a prototype of a new Apple cell phone.
And you know what? This is good. Somebody actually asked Grok, saying, "Grok, is this translated correctly?" He's saying the translation of the video by Memory TV appears accurate based on reports from multiple news outlets, including Al Jazeera and The Week, which confirm threats against U.S. figures like Trump and Musk.
Wow.
While memory has faced bias allegations, no evidence disputes the specific translation.
Good one.
So, and it's saying, however, Al-Qaeda's statements may be propaganda.
Well, what you're
context
implying
matters.
is the parade might be a target.
Absolutely.
Is that where you're going with this?
Absolutely.
Okay, I don't disagree, but I need 100,000 soldiers here now. I don't have time for these 700 Marines that came here. This is not going to cut it. I need an entire division. How much is in a division? I need a division.
I don't have a good breakdown on that. But.
Right. I this platoon thing, which I think is what that is 700. If any,
no, 700 is
what is 700?
That's more like a battalion.
A battalion. Okay.
A platoon is 60 to 100.
Okay. Well, this is not going to cut it. This is not, they're outnumbered 10,000 to 1 here. I mean, this is unless you're shooting to kill. I don't know how you get around this thing.
Right.
I mean, unless you're willing to incarcerate, lock them up, put them in these trucks, bring in buses. You know, maybe the Marines are willing to do that. You know,
well,
actually,
if you can
take them
deploy
off the field to play.
Well, I mean, if you they do know how to take people out.
Yeah.
And not just killing them. I mean, the Marines are trained. That was actually that was funny on two-way when Dan was saying, "Yeah, the Marines don't know how to do crowd control." It's like, are you kidding? Oh, yes, absolutely they are. And both Dan and Sean were like, yes, they do.
Well, Dan doesn't. Dan doesn't know their skills. I mean, but I'm just saying 700 is not enough.
But it's a good start. You know, if you put them in the hot points, 700 could relieve a lot of people. Like, for example, run them over that bridge. I guarantee the bridge will no longer be a problem.
Dude, that should be the battle. The battle of the bridge over the 101. That could have some history to it.
Mm-hmm. I've got all the people in the chat going on. Platoon is 64. That's a light brigade. Anyway.
Okay. Well, that's not going to cut it. We're outnumbered here quite a bit. Like I said, driving in those 100 SUVs last night from somewhere shows you that they're bringing in reinforcements. They're bringing in reinforcements, and they don't have to get in touch with Mayor Bass to coordinate. They just drove right into the middle of the disturbance last night.
No, this is the crazy thing. Like, okay, Newsom was mouthing off saying, you know, arrest me, please. Technically, I don't think there's any grounds to arrest him, so that's not going to happen. But what about your Tubby council member who is literally calling on people to act? You know, I believe in freedom of speech. But then when you're directing people to move or making claims like that, that now starts to become something else. As an example, they try to blame Trump for January 6th, right? Everybody wanted to impeach him when he said, hey, go peacefully protest. He never even said anything.
Yeah, you can make the case.
They're directly, you know, saying go here, attack here, and they're facilitating everything else. So I think that some of them should be arrested, not necessarily Newsom.
I completely agree with you. If you lose the case, it's not the end of the world. I mean, they seem to not want to take a case unless it's 100% fucking ironclad, where it's Jack Ruby shooting Oswald on TV. They seem to not want to charge anyone on the earth unless it's a complete slam dunk of a case. You don't know what you don't know. I mean, the arrest is not a conviction. You have reasonable cause, you have reasonable doubt, you have reasonable videos of her calling for more insurrection. Let the chips fall where they may, for Christ's sakes. They've not arrested anybody anyway of any substantial importance.
Yeah.
You know, she tried to get her brother in there. You see that in the DC bar? Pam Bondi?
No.
She fronted in her brother to be president of the DC bar. And the woman he ran against got 90% of the vote. And he ended up with 3% of the vote because they found out it was her brother. The guy's name is like Pete Bondi. And they just said, it's Pam Bondi's brother, get him. And he lost by 97% of the vote.
Wow.
This is what she's wasting her time doing. Running her brother from the DC bar.
Well, okay. Hopefully she's doing her job that Trump just asked of her.
Again?
No, well, today she's supposed to be tasked with finding out who is funding
Oh, right.
The riots right now. He literally said that they are funded. You talked about the masks. There is a money trail here, and there is something going on. So
I have an agency that could do that has people with investigators and guns. It's called the IRS. They have to put together a 590 or whatever that a tax exempt form is. These NGOs have to do it. The money's there. You do have a paper trail. They do have investigators. They do have guns. Last time I heard from Joe Biden, he seems to, or not him. It seems like this administration their tasks don't line up with the department that is doing it. You know what I mean? Like
Tulsi
I said,
is the one releasing documents.
Right. Like I said about Kash Patel going after fentanyl instead of the DEA, Bongino's going after something else. They all seem to be in areas that are not the specialty of their own departments. And I'm generalizing, but that's kind of been my take on this thing.
It is odd.
It is odd. Yeah, it is odd.
But geez, there we go. I agree with this.
Okay.
We need the rooftop Koreans. Somebody just said that.
Well, everybody's been, out here. That's the running joke in LA right now. Everybody's been putting memes of the rooftop Koreans up there. Again, this is not in Koreatown, though. This is literally the epicenter is the men's detention center where these people are being held. And also the federal courthouse, which is right there, courthouse that I've been in. I haven't been in the men's detention center, but I've been in that federal courthouse. There's also another one in West LA, but that has not been a nerve center or a lightning rod as it is here in downtown, because this is also where Cesar Chavez Boulevard intersects with regular LA. And it is the barrio headquarters, by coincidence, if you look at this, what happened here, how they, this here is California Highway Patrol, and it's run by a Newsom appointee who's only been on the job for 2 years. This is not LAPD. Keep this in mind, folks. These SUVs, and I think there's about 6 there that have been obliterated. They threw the entire road sign down on one of them. The cops are cowering underneath because they can't come out. They're loaded for bear up above with concrete blocks. Many of them you see on the 101. This is the 101 South. You see traffic moving on the other side is the 101 North. So if you see, this is the overpass that I was talking about. There's multiple overpasses. Why they allowed them to get the high ground in the middle of a riot, I will never know. It is so easy to block this off by putting a patrol car at either side with a couple of guys and not letting them pass the patrol cars at a Saving Private Ryan. But nevertheless, they continue to take these overpasses by force. And then anything that goes underneath is now subject to being bombed from above by Curtis LeMay's Air Force. Again, just absolutely crazy lack of military knowledge or just taking the high ground, Eric.
And this is today as well.
Yeah,
right?
this started up again today. The tactical, there's another one in front of it. There's another one in front of this one, about an eighth of a mile down, that the California Highway Patrol Tactical Squad has blocked off physically. I think I shot some video of that, where they just put 30 men on either side, a waste of men, but they put 30 and 30 or 20 and 20 arm to arm. I think it's a waste, but that's what the California Highway Patrol did. They control this highway. That's why I'm talking about the California Highway Patrol. This has nothing to do with LAPD. This is Newsom's guy. This is Newsom doing this right here. So you have multiple actors running multiple armies in a war against Trump. This California Highway Patrol is run by a Newsom appointee. And finally, they seized the overpass in front of this with just men on foot, which could have been done right here. So there's the point I'm trying to make.
Well, I was thinking, and I saw somebody in the chat brought it up too. You mentioned high ground, and I couldn't help but think, what about helicopters firing rubber bullets down on top of the bridge? That might be a fun day.
90 ways to skin this cat. They chose none of them. They chose apps. What happens here? You know how they eventually get them off? They come back 10 times. They shoot tear gas. They come out from underneath the overpass, and they shoot tear gas up into the bridge. Missing a couple of times, but getting it up there, and then it quickly dissipates. And they're wearing gas masks.
which have been provided to them, which this whole escalation is quite interesting. And I want to see what, like, whoever is funding this, I would like to see a life sentence on them. I would like to see very real charges, because
this is so trickled down from multiple NGOs that you're never going to get a smoking gun on this thing, in my humble opinion, because this money is funneled through the ads in Craigslist, through multiple NGOs, through another level and another level and another level, to street people, to street activity, to guys who are community activists. It's a waterfall, Eric. It's not that direct.
Right.
I mean, I wish it was, but it's not that direct.
Now, unfortunately, I wonder how much of it was originally from USAID.
Oh, that's fascinating, because even I think Mike Benz is pointing out that it still is.
Yeah, well, the money's out there. It's they've already placed it, and I would not be surprised at all if
no,
if it traced back.
It seems like USAID is the bank for all of these different spin-off spigots that go to these different NGOs. USAID is the one that's within the State Department, spilling out into other NGOs that then spill out into community activism in multiple countries around the world.
Well, we have to see. Hopefully they can figure out how to shut this down some or another. I mean,
well, Homan has said that the raids are going to go on for 2 to 3 weeks. So as long as these raids continue, this blowback to the raids, and she mean not Karen Black, but Karen Bass has insisted that the raids stop. This is what her whole thing is, that the raids must stop. And if the raids stop, they will dance in the street celebrating the end of World War II like you never saw anything like. It would be like the soccer championship in Mexico if the raids stop, because they will declare victory. And I've learned from our intelligence sources, NYPD in New York, that the similar groups are holding back to see what happens in California. New York police intelligence units have tracked that they are poised to do the same thing in New York, but they're waiting to see how this plays out in LA. LA, as she said, is a test case, but it's not a test case from Trump. She's projecting her own situation. It's a test case for them to see how, if this will work nationally in LA by rioting to stop Tom Homan. And if Trump buckles, it's the end of his administration. They'll never be taken seriously again. It'll be the end of his legacy, the end of his #1 issue, which is to stop immigration and secure the border. It will jeopardize the election. There's so much at stake right now, Eric, in this Los Angeles standoff, that I am just saying he's got to Bigfoot them and crush them. This namby-pamby 700 Marines ain't gonna cut it, bro. These people are loaded for bear out here. There's tens of thousands of them who are allies, who are legal citizens, who are also Mexican or Latino, part of La Raza, or as I call it now, Lantifa, which is La Raza combined with Antifa. They are willing to go every night and loot every single night. They have no jobs. They have no fear of doing this. However, that's why Trump needs this issue to be victorious on his part, because this will spread from city to city. They're waiting in New York. They're waiting in Philly. They're waiting in Chicago. If he does this and pulls out, Tom Homan pulls out and tries to go into Chicago, they'll do the same thing, and it won't end. And Trump knows this. I'm sure I'm not telling him anything he doesn't know. But the question is, he has got to Bigfoot this because this cannot be on his loss list of a part of his politics and part of his identity, Eric.
Yeah, I don't think he is going to back out.
Right.
I think he may be smart in what he's doing, because the optics, no matter how hard the mainstream press tries to say it's mostly peaceful, for example, they screwed up with the Mexican flags.
Yeah.
People watching on their TV are like, why are they waving Mexican flags there? What's going on there? We look like a third world country, and
so they switched it up. They switched it up.
Well, and they're working on it, but I'm saying he's showing that over and over and over, that it is out of the locals' hands, and they can cry and bitch and sue and do anything they want. But the truth is, everybody can see that it's out of their hands. So then if he Bigfoot's, let's say he waits another day or 5 days even.
Okay.
And then Bigfoot's, everybody like, oh my God, thank God he finally got in there. Because
all right, let's play it out. You're a military guy. How does this work?
How does it work? We've got the National Guard. You have the Marines. You can use a combination of the two. So the Marines could be, they're hot points, I'm assuming. I'm not there, but you know,
right.
like that bridge, that's a hot point or whatever.
I'm not looking for a debate. I'm just trying to explain it through me and you discussing this.
Yeah, no.
It's not that easy, is what I'm trying to tell you. This is a run and gun operation with mobs, sometimes of 200 to 400, running and gunning, playing cat and mouse with LAPD. They're not allowed to shoot to kill. They're not allowed to use lethal force. They're not allowed to physically beat them or whatever. They have literally, and this is de facto now, rules of engagement in this dance here that's been the same for about 20 years. Now, if the military comes in, how do they change the rules of engagement? I'm trying to imagine this myself. So please help me to understand this, because they can't shoot to kill them. They're not going to have Kent State. So, I mean, what less do you or more do you do than what is being done by LAPD, other than sheer overwhelming numbers, which I think is the way to go, because you can't just shoot them in the head and kill them. However, if you send in 100,000 men, then and I'm just picking a number here, it could be 50,000, I'm not really sure. I think the only way that Trump could be victorious here is by sheer volume of overwhelming military force in terms of numbers, Eric. What's your opinion?
Yes, but I'm saying you can work with, again, like the Marines. Okay, so say you have 700 Marines. You point them at a hot point, and they just go in there with full force, shields on, just crushing them. And then you backfill them with National Guard, who get stationed to hold. Kind of similar to a ground attack that you would see in another country, in a war zone. That's common. You have the forward leading forces that are going in there, and then you have people backfilling to hold the ground. And you can then hopefully have a partnership ultimately where the National Guard can turn it over to the police or whoever is behind.
Do you do mass arrests?
Well, ideally, yes.
Okay, every single one of them has a phone number, and they're going. I'm just trying to give you the tactics that are on the street. There's a lot of tactics that most people aren't aware of. They have people on the street writing with a magic marker a phone number on each person's hand that they call to get immediately bailed out and back into the fight. The bail money is coming from NGOs, from USAID. Again, this is not a regular war. This is a street battle with different tactics that LAPD has been battling, not successfully, but they kind of, their whole MO is basically, and you know this, let them vent. Like after the Lakers or after the Cubs win the championship, they destroy the fucking city and they go, all right, let them vent. Don't arrest them. They're just, Rodney King, doesn't matter good or bad. It's about venting, but this is not about venting. This is a political warfare battle for political ideas. Different than the Lakers winning a championship.
Well, obviously. Yeah.
Well, it's not that obvious to the newscasters here.
Well, they're idiots. I mean, I think it is obvious, and they're just lying.
Okay.
Philadelphia came up, because there's always a riot in Philadelphia. But you notice they don't usually go attacking cops. It's like they just attack whatever's around them and wreak havoc. This is very, very targeted.
Right, so my question is, what does the military do with them when they get them?
Well,
okay. I mean, I can go back to Nixon in the Mayday protests in when they came to Washington, D.C. He rounded them up and put them in RFK Stadium. He literally had, I think, 50,000 people under arrest inside RFK Stadium.
Well, that's what I was trying to say. Is that who said that they go immediately to jail? And who said that, I mean, you've got put a camp together, whatever.
Okay.
Throw them into like a refugee type camp.
This is good, Hunley, because Glendale as a city announced yesterday they're refusing to cooperate with ICE to use their jails. There are certain holding detention areas around the city, and one by one, they're refusing to cooperate with ICE because of the controversy of putting them in their detention centers. So you may be right.
That's even better.
Yeah.
Because then, okay, how are you going to bail them out? First, you got to find them. Now, there's a routine that cops will use. It's kind of a dirty trick, but they will move people around from jail to jail to jail to jail.
But we don't have any more jails here.
No. But I'm saying you could do something similar.
Well,
who said they have to be in a jail? They could be locked behind barbed wire somewhere in a camp and held, like the stadium that Nixon did or whatever. Hey, there's so many of them. I can't keep track. Okay, well, you know what? We'll take care of it as soon as we can find them. Sorry. Don't know where they are.
All right.
And run them around it for a while. You got military barracks, as Mikey said. There are different options that could happen.
Well, I don't know what they are, so that's why I'm asking you, because I don't know what the options are, other than seizing Dodger Stadium and putting them in there when they're on the road. But yeah, they have to put them somewhere, and it's a lot of people. And if you want to do mass arrests, you got to put them somewhere. You got to bring buses in. You got to cart them out, which is why LAPD does not do this based on their game plan, the way they operate. Just what they do is this dance with them, shoot off some fireworks, some flash bangs, push them back. But they're so hip to this, it doesn't even faze them. They throw them back at LAPD. They shoot their own rockets at them. These guys are loaded with fireworks, Roman candles, M80s. They're throwing M80s like a Vietnam platoon throws grenades, Eric.
Right. Getting more creative. I don't know. This is where you got to get the lawyers involved or what they can pull off. But wouldn't it be fun if they happen to get shipped to Gitmo for a while?
Well, that's pretty far. I mean, you're in a day-to-day battle here.
I understand that, but the idea is to round up and especially find out who the leaders are, because there's not everybody's the same level.
Yeah.
But if you get the particularly talented agitators, have some fun with it.
Yeah. Well, part of the problem and the difference between New York and LA, New York still has their intel units and LA was forced to get rid of theirs. So they have no intelligence as to who the leaders are. And that's intentional here by the leftist city council, leftist board of supervisors, leftist mayor. This was done away with a number of years ago. The gang units were removed. And this is not gang unit stuff. The gang in Compton, by the way, came out.
Compton said
they
they had a
video.
Yeah.
They made their own video saying we're not involved in this shit. But the intel units have been eliminated here. And the intel units would, in this case, be used to find the leadership and the money trail and to infiltrate behind enemy lines and go undercover. New York has done that. New York is doing it right now, according to our connections there. They're operating like a cyclops blind here, Eric. That's the difference between New York and LA in terms of these protests.
You know what, you brought up a good point though. If your police really cared, they should talk to the Compton gangs and say, who are these people? Help us.
Well, I'll tell you what they should do is they should become whistleblowers to like-minded media and say what's going on behind the scenes at LAPD. That would be far more helpful to me to find out as a reporter, somebody on the inside telling me you're never going to believe the orders that we're receiving and what to not do and what to do and how to act and how to walk and how to talk. That I'd like to see. Some of it was leaked out this week about, like I said, about Mayor Bass going around the incident commander and talking directly to patrol leaders and commanding them like she was General Patton.
You know what? That could be done by people out there right now. What about scanners? Are people scanning the police radios and listening? Because if they're scanning and recording, you might be able to catch orders going down.
I've heard a bunch of scans. A bunch of scans, but they're all multiple channels, and not every scanner flips.
I understand that.
Yeah, they go to channel D or channel C or whatever, and they're pretty wily, Eric. It's not as open as it used to be.
I understand that, but maybe you can, and I'm spitballing here too, but
yeah, me too.
That could be a good use for AI to try to flood every channel and record every channel or pick up signals. And
I think the easiest way is human intel, just a whistleblower saying, this is what I've been told. This is what's been going on. This is our talk. Sometimes it's the union head. That's usually the guy back east who is the whistleblower, is the head of the union, the police union. He's the guy who hears from everyone and says, I'm going to have a press conference. Fuck these guys. That is not happening here.
Yeah.
Which, again, this is why for many, many years, I've called for a law to prevent big city mayors from cherry picking and hand picking their own chief of police. It's not complicated. They come in and they look at the available people. They bring them in for interviews and they say, are you willing to do what I tell you? And they say, no, no, no. And then one says yes. And then she says, okay, you're chief of police. I mean, I don't think that's legal. Just because you won an election to a position in city government, I don't believe you should get a private army. I mean, maybe I'm missing something here. This happens in New York. It happens in Chicago. I don't care if it happens in Tampa, but, you know, you're giving someone a 10,000 man army to control at her whim. And when there's looting, when there's George Floyd stuff, he told them to stand down, or in that case, Garcetti. They were told to stand. You can't have that power. You can't. I'm not saying there's not a chief of police, but if you come into office, there is a chief of police in place who has naturally and through awards, you know, graduated through promotion up the line of command. What they do in these big cities is, I don't want that guy. That's the guy who's the chief of police in real life. I'm going to take a captain who's a black lesbian captain from Compton. I'm going to make her chief of police. I don't believe that's constitutional. That's just been my take for a long time. Nobody seems to be bothered by this, but it
I prefer them to be elected like sheriffs myself.
Well, there is the elected sheriffs. Yeah, there is the elected sheriffs. So they voted on the city council because of Villanueva, the last elected Trump-supporting sheriff. They voted to create a law saying they can oust him by voting him out, even though he's elected. So then they got this guy Luna, who they supported, who's a stooge, who was elected.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's amazing.
An alternative was in Michigan, I believe, one of the lawyers who's on from time to time, Making Law Simple, I think is his channel. He said that they have it's almost like a board or a separate group of people who appoint the chief. So it's not the mayor. It's like another party, and they're elected themselves. They're elected, and then they appoint the chief from within. So that's interesting.
But this has got to go. I mean, this, you know, giving them an instant army that they can control for political purposes. This is just too much. It's just too much.
Yeah,
I mean, she owns this guy. I know Jim McDonnell. I helped fundraise for Jim McDonnell when he was a normal guy running for sheriff 10, 15 years ago. Now he looks like a beaten, drunken lapdog. This is not the same guy I remember.
Which is sad. I mean,
it is sad. I feel sorry for the guy. Resign. Show some grace and dignity and get out. He's like, the guy seems so tormented by her telling him what to do. I mean, how important is this fucking job and pension, bro?
That is weird. That is yeah, I don't know. Well, you know what? I want to hear from everybody out here.
Okay, let's see what they got. Maybe they got
Super chat's good. Pamela Clifton saying happy Tuesday. So happy Tuesday to you, Pamela. Thank you very much, as always. And we have Dr. Evil 814, Escape from LA. Yes, Kurt Russell is coming to a movie near you right now with your situation. Deep Pockets Enterprise, I guess. Mark, when are you going to finally leave that hellhole city in California and move to Texas?
I'll
welcome you with open arms.
When Adam Carolla moves, I'll go with Adam. Or when Victor Davis Hanson moves, I'll go with Victor Davis Hanson. Or I'll go with when Larry goes from the Sage of South Central. I'll move with him. We're in the middle of one of the most fascinating cultural, social events I've ever seen in my life. And it's so exciting, I can't even tell you from my point of view. To leave now, I mean, you'd have to tear me out of here. Dude, you don't understand the mindset of a journalist. I mean, this is where the action is, bro. Historically, nationally, sociologically, politically, and I should move to fucking Texas? Are you kidding me? This is, as Lenny Bruce said, Chicago's so thrilling, so corrupt, it's thrilling. And that's how I feel about LA. I mean, this is like asking Edward R. Murrow to get off the roofs of the building in London during the Blitz and come back to New York to CBS. They'd have to pry him off that building in London during World War II to get him back to New York. But we will be visiting the great state of Texas on November 22nd, Eric and I. We will be there for the JFK Lancer Conference. So we do love the state of Texas.
Oh, yeah. And who knows if you have your own riots there, maybe Mark will be interested.
Right. Maybe I could cover those riots. I mean, I like Austin as much as the next guy.
But yes, this is the information about the conference. If anybody wants to come check that out, they also have virtual tickets for those who are overseas, etc. Bottom line is you can use your phone, scan the image there. There's also links in the descriptions.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You don't scan the coin. That doesn't do anything, right?
No, it's the bottom right where the
some guy in the comment section said, "What happened to the bullet that went in the hole?" I go, "What, in the image of the coin?" That's not what this guy was talking about.
399. No.
Yeah, did that go in his head? Is that the one? Is it behind the coin? That was actually, to be honest with you, that coin and that blood in that hole was actually part of a movie poster that I had made for the Oswald miniseries, which never came to fruition, but that was part of the movie poster.
Yep. If you do order, though, please make sure you use Untold 10 so you can save 10%, as well as it gives us credit for your doing so, which is very important. And while you're thinking about supporting the show, and Mark, he's out there trying to, I don't know, walk his beat or what have you.
I'm on the beat, Hunley. I'm walking the beat.
Well, to do that, he has to get up early and he needs to have some coffee. And there is no better coffee than our coffee. 2 flavors, Supreme Breakfast Blend or the Magic Bullet Blend. I just actually got an order in today of
what'd you get?
More Magic Bullet Blend and Supreme Breakfast Blend, but more Magic Bullet than Supreme Breakfast. 2 bags of Magic Bullet, one bag of Supreme Breakfast, but I will be good for another few weeks.
Okay.
Which I am very thankful to have a product that I not only helps support us as a channel, but I'm genuinely love. And that is a big deal to me, is to have something I love, I drink every day, and that others can enjoy too. Dr. Evil 814 it is. Have you seen what Soros has planned for Saturday, 14th Flag Day? I think something like No King Day or something.
Yeah, they're bringing in buses, and I don't know what this has to do with kings, but I guess they think that Trump is a king who got elected. Yeah. He got elected, but he's a king. I don't really understand the connection, but that doesn't make it any more logical.
No, they just throw words out there.
They really just do, don't they?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then they just go, and you go, what are you talking about? Everybody knows.
Everybody knows. It's a king. He's a king.
Yeah.
Well, you know what it is? I think dictator didn't stick. I think they're switching from dictator.
Yeah, you might be right.
I think that didn't work. That didn't work.
Well, some of it too is they're not that bright. What was it? There was one out there, you imperialist scumbag, to a cop, and the cop's like standing back with it. They're all in the shields, and these students are just spouting a bunch of bullshit, whatever. And the cop goes, "Do you even know what you're saying? Do you know what that means?" "Of course I do. I'm in college." And the cop's like, "Well, what does it say?" And he's like, he's just enraged. He's like, "I'll give you books. I've got books. I'll give you books." And it was kind of hilarious.
Yeah, they were attacking some black cop for being black. These Mexican revolutionaries, they literally just racist diatribe against this black LAPD cop yesterday, who just took it. He just stood there and took it. But they sounded insane, is the point I'm trying to make. They sounded like complete nutbags.
Well, and that's the problem, though. I mean, the cops have to take a lot of
it's too much.
It's like, you really have to have the right personality, I think, to be a cop nowadays, because most people can't tolerate the.
But why should they have to? Why should they tolerate it?
I agree.
I mean, as Adam said, and others have said, they literally come up and spit in their face, and nobody has to. That's an assault.
I know, and
right.
I agree. They shouldn't have
let
to.
him spit in my face. I'm going to take him down and cuff him. You know, if my battalion commander wants to discipline me, so be it. So be it. I'm taking the guy down and cuffing him.
But this is LA police.
Yeah, no, I know.
You know, do you think that's that way everywhere else?
No, I know, but I'm saying that's why the military is so sorely needed here, because this is completely ineffective. This will continue as long, and I'll just say this will continue as long as Homan's raids continue.
Mm-hmm.
So until when Homan leaves, they will declare victory. Whenever he leaves, it could be weeks from now. You know, they'll still, as I said on Viva's show yesterday, if the LA illegals were a city, they'd be the 7th largest city in the United States, right behind Philadelphia, with 1.5 million people. The amount of illegals, and this is a low budget estimate, is 1.5. In 2019, it was a little under 1 million. It was about 850,000 back then. Most estimates are higher than 1.5. I've seen some a little bit lower. But if you take the 1.5, you're dealing with a city within a city. And how do you do with that? How do you deal with that? With services, money, free food, free medical, you know, everything, free transit. How do you survive as a city when you have another city within your city leeching off of you? This is a
parasite.
Well, no, it's a good parasite or a bad parasite. You're right. It's a parasite. How do you decide what to do with people who, just so you know this, Karen Bass does not represent these people. They didn't vote for her. They can't vote. They can't vote. Who is she legally talking about, Eric? She's not the representative in any way, shape, or form legally of the illegal aliens. They have no representation, and rightfully so, because they don't have voting rights. They may be given a temporary driver's license, but that doesn't make Karen Bass their elected official representative, if you see what I'm talking about.
I agree.
Yeah.
But she wants to claim
it's
them.
bizarre. She's acting as if they are like the Marilyn Mann storyline.
Sure.
He said the word constituent, and he knew that he misspoke the second he said it, because they're not your constituents. They did not vote for you. They don't have voting power. So you can't legally represent them. So what is your relationship as an elected official to people who could not ever have voted for you or anyone else? There is no relationship. There's nothing.
And the worst thing is the people who she does technically represent, she's ignoring.
Absolutely. But I mean, you could make the relationship work if it was Catholic Charities, for instance. You could say that they're Catholic, they were a non-governmental organization, it's a church, we're feeding them. But she's not the Catholic Charities. She's the people that were elected her, who vote here, who are legal people in Los Angeles. And it's a 3.8 million person city with 1.5 million people within an inner city that are completely illegal. That is a really difficult task to manage. Now, you may want them to be Democrats someday, but they're not now. They're not now, and that's been tested in court.
Right. Well, and sad but true, a lot of the people who are the worst in the rioting are probably Americans.
Yeah, or aiding and abetting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure if we really were able to audit who is causing the violence and stuff, it's probably not as many illegals as people think.
Well, like you said, it may be the anchor babies of these.
I think a lot of them are. Yeah.
There was a couple. I don't know where I sent this to you, but there was a couple, man and woman, who were in charge of a lot of the NGO funding that they found out about.
Yeah, I think I sent that to you.
Oh, maybe you sent it to me. But maybe you could put their pictures up, maybe so somebody could see who these people are. I think it was a DM or something.
I know there's so damn many. Not that couple. Dude, this is one of those days that there's too much news.
Okay.
I just flip by. Hold on.
They were a young, good-looking couple, right? Or
yes, these Leah Greenberg and Ezra Levin.
oh, don't use those names. It's so embarrassing.
Yeah.
Did you hear that joke by Mamet about? I told you about the. Oh, look at them. This is okay. This is two radical communists. Well, they work for Soros. I mean, this is what you're up against. This is the face of the communist revolution.
Oh, and this one here. Which one is she? She's didn't she donate to the art stuff too?
Her, I've never heard of. Well, I haven't heard of the other people either, but
Walton. She's at one of the Walmart.
Oh, right,
fairs.
right. That's the.
I thought she donated to to the stuff at the art in France.
I wouldn't be surprised. She's loaded with money.
Yep, and of course,
who killed her husband in that plane crash?
Yeah, there you go. She is a widow of Walton, so of course it's not it's even her
She's
money.
got 17 billion. This dingbat.
Yep.
You know, these widows of these wealthy cats have done more damage to society than the Nazis did in World War II. It's just astounding what their money could do for them. And apparently they get people who latch on to them, who tell them what to do.
Well, isn't that the ultimate perfect honey trap operation?
Yeah.
You get in there and they get married to them and then they die.
Yeah.
And then now you just literally take it over. I mean, it's like even from their kids, it's just sick. So, yep, that's who's funding. So, okay, Nick Giusti is saying it's F around and find out season, folks. Trump just Los Angeles be the first example by shutting that shut down by sending in the National Guard and the Marines. I freaking love it. They're there, but they're not doing anything at this point.
They're not. That's what I'm trying. That's what we were discussing and hypothetically discussing here about deployment, because they're just surrounded federal property. And they're not deployed doing anything. So, does it help? Yeah, I guess, guarding a federal building, but that's not mixing it up or doing things to stop the riots.
Right. Well, I mean, for sure, like the ICE building, what is happening there? If National Guard's protecting that, then they're not able to do.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying, but even if the Marines and the National Guard are doing it, they're taken off the field.
Well, by the way, that's another approach is when you're talking about the raids, the ICE raids that Homan is doing. What if he was doing them with the Marine escorts?
That's what they talked about last night. Yeah,
that would not be a bad.
They think they're going to do that too.
Okay.
Yeah. They're going to find jobs for them, and one of them is to protect ICE agents because LAPD refuses to do it. And stand by while they are jostled and pelted during the arrest. They refuse to protect the federal agents. So that's another good job for the Marines.
Okay, well, I think that would make a lot of sense. And I just say let LA burn, but Trump could technically just do that, keep doing the raids with the Marines, everything else. And if there's enough of them, you can hit a larger area. Fewer people can escape as easily or run off.
I think the lottery for Super Bowl tickets or Mexican soccer night would be in good point right here, so they can come down and get their free tickets. Make it easier. Let them come to you. I mean, if they had an intelligence unit here, if they had some sort of people who had some brains, you could create all kinds of entrapment things to get them off the playing field.
But they don't want to. I mean, it's
I know.
It's like, yeah, you're right. I agree, Mark.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that's why you literally need a new sheriff in town. That catchphrase.
Well, okay. Or I guess another alternative would be FBI has intelligence too. So technically, Kash Patel.
Yeah,
I guess
I haven't heard him make a statement about this.
I haven't either.
Yeah, Dan Bongino lived here. I haven't heard him make a statement about this.
I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
that could be the intelligence unit.
Put it this way: let's say you had a facility to round up 1,000. I'm just plucking a number, 500. You round up 500 buses, take them to a facility. One by one, you check their immigration status.
Oh, of course.
You may have caught 300 right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
The 200 you charge with assault and trespassing, and the other 300 you get rid of them.
Yeah, you just say, okay, well, here we'll just continue this ride. to the border. Here you go. Bye. Load that up, Bill. I don't even take them off. And you know what? And for due process, bring the judge onto the bus.
I like that. The judge comes on the bus in robes.
I'm serious. Yeah,
right, like a priest when they go to the electric chair.
Why not? Everybody's contained, and we move it along.
Yeah, good. It keeps one judge after another gets on. You know what? And you make judges out of some of these guys. You get them to swear an oath, and they become a judge right before the bus ride.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I think it's very efficient.
Now we're thinking outside the box. I like this.
Mellow Cat gifted 5 America's Untold Stories memberships. They're thinking outside the box, gifting memberships. Thank you. And Nick Juicy, Mark.
Yeah.
You might get more subscribers with a New York Yankees hat.
Highly doubtful, my friend.
Show some support and hit that subscribe button, folks.
Highly doubtful. We're the champions of the free world. So fuck the Yankees. Highly doubtful. I do have a Yankee hat, but I'm not wearing it for, if I go to Yankee Stadium, I'll wear it. But
speaking of New York intelligence, Al Gonzalez is here. Sources say that China's CCP involved in funding and their agents evaluate police response in real time and adjust tactics. Accordingly, we in New York City know not to lose the high ground, though.
Al, am I crazy with this thing with the high ground? I mean, this is mentally retarded out here. Not only that, I'm talking about the tops of buildings. I'm talking about there's other levels of these buildings that are around downtown LA, and they've lost the high ground and had stuff thrown upon them from terraces and other levels besides that obvious one on the 101, which will go down in history as the Battle of Bunker Hill or something. I mean, that was just insane.
I'm going to stand by it. It's leadership because cops, they're not stupid. They're like, that could be a dangerous spot. I mean, come on. Genghis Khan, another conqueror here. One reason the Mexican president may support the protesters, maybe the bill Trump is trying to pass is going to place a 3.5% tax on remittances, which accounts for 4% of gross domestic product.
Yeah,
they were talking about that.
I call for Trump to suspend the remittances while the riots are ongoing to bring her to her knees. Complete suspension of any remittances coming out of the country to Mexico. These South American, Central American countries, including Mexico, they survive on these remittances of the people that they sent here. Think about it. You had a country where really your only economic they're socialist countries. So Mexico, for instance, has tourism to a certain degree, some petrol dollar, but basically these remittances of people who have fled Mexico and are sending money back is a huge chunk of their GDP. Cut it off. Cut it off. It's enough already. Use your presidential powers. Cut off these remittances. Stop draining. Like, let's say somebody legal or illegal is working as a waiter, to go and send half of their paycheck back to their family. A, takes it out of the California economy. B, supports the socialist economy of Mexico and the drug cartels, and continues to allow this person to live here. I mean, it's enough already. And also Slim, what's his name? Carlos Slim, I think gets 18% of every dollar that comes out of these remittances. The big telecommunications guy who is the Elon Musk of Mexico.
You know what else he is?
The owner of the New York Times?
Former owner, but yeah. So interesting. As a matter of fact, that would be.
Is that possible, Eric? Can we cut off, suspend these remittances?
Well, I was just thinking, what if because a lot of the money goes through Western Union.
All Western Union, yeah.
And there's been a lot of talk about, like, what if you have to present an ID in order to send Western Union?
How about you send ICE agents undercover?
That's what I was going to say.
Pick them up all day. Who's next? Who's next? Step up, Carlos. Where is? I'd have to send these to Guadalajara. Okay, Carlos, let's see some ID, bro. And you just take them away.
It's just a thought, but I was like,
it's not a bad one.
All right. Christopher Zinn is saying, I watched, let me see, Jeremy Reed's coverage for 6 hours, and those cops look completely demoralized and afraid, and Trump's response likewise appeared flat-footed.
I agree, Chris. I really do. I mean, I hate to say it, but that's my take on it also.
I'm not your buddy guy. saying arrest media for sedition and the lies must stop.
Well, I mean, the FCC once again could say that, you know, you're lying with public airwaves and it's against your FCC license. I mean, again, I've seen no suspensions of local licenses. The guy talked a big game, the FCC guy. I've seen nothing. Is this an administration that talks big and doesn't bite?
I don't know. I think that it's a little unfair when they have the whole damn world against them. It's like there are so many battles, so many directions.
But why
so
not
much
bite?
going on.
Why not bite on some of them? Why not take some of them down?
I don't know.
I mean, it doesn't cost you anything. They already hate your fucking guts. What are they going to do? Call you a dictator? Duh. You know, I mean, what? I don't know the downside of doing any of these actions. I mean, he calls for the arrest of Newsom. Okay, you arrest Newsom. What's the downside? You take his pants, you put him in jail, you put him in a federal prison, you rough him up, you give him, you don't let him call his attorney, you charge him with various charges, you let him bail out, and then you make him stand trial.
Well, you charge him on Friday night.
Yeah.
So he at least has to spend the weekend.
Right. Yeah, that's a good time to get him. Maybe this weekend, maybe this Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an old method.
What is Newsom going to come out and denounce you afterwards like he hasn't done before?
Right now, he's making hay out of it. But,
yep. And money. I just got a text message to send him money.
Oh, well, get on that, Mark.
Yeah.
I'll try to hold you up. Thinking too much. Saying, wanted to get ahead of Mark on his movies. LOL. I just found out that Ron Howard is directing a film called The Fixer.
And what's it about?
A fixer?
Okay, well, he directed Hillbilly Elegy, is one of the worst movies I've ever seen, among other bad and good Ron Howard movies. So it's hit or miss.
He's like Guy Ritchie.
Yeah, he's a hit or miss guy. He's a hit or miss guy. I mean, the book is great. I mean, the J.D. Vance book, but the movie not so good.
Yeah, I mean, but he has done some good movies. Like,
oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Like Backdraft was a good movie.
Yeah, there's some good work.
So, Splash. No. Anyway, thinking too much. Hold on. I guess this is, here we go. It's in pre-production, and this is IMDb's description. A former FBI agent is recruited to run a joint CIA mafia mission to assassinate. Oh boy.
I'm sure this will be a true story.
Thought that might be something that interests Mark as a consultant.
Yeah, they'll hire me immediately. You know, it's so funny that when they did Parkland with Peter Landsman, who was a deep state operative director, he was a guy who worked for the New York Times. He wrote phony articles, was called out for them, got caught making up Mexican slave trade articles and all this other stuff. He immediately became a director overnight and directed Concussion, which was another phony movie. If you look at what's his name, the Jason Whitlock was recently on, I think, with either Finity or the other guy. And Whitlock pointed out something very interesting. They used Concussion to blackmail the NFL into going woke. And he said, have you noticed that in 5 years, you've never heard the word concussion again? This was part of a deep state op with the movie Concussion, directed by Peter Landsman and starring Will Smith. He said Whitlock, who played football his whole life, he said, every one of my friends that I have who are retired, not one of them has ever been found to have this mental condition. He said, this is something that was part of their psyop. And I almost fell off the couch. I've never heard anybody talk about this before. And he said that was the trade off to make the NFL go woke with the commissioner. They never mentioned concussion ever again. The movie was persona non grata. He will go on to direct a movie, Peter Landsman, the deep state director, called Parkland. And it's based on Vincent Bugliosi's book. And he will have 2 CIA consultants on that movie. And it is a phony movie about a day in Parkland when Kennedy's killed. So, and now the guy, after doing all these missions, this is Peter Landsman, has retired from filmmaking. I've never seen a guy ever do that before. He got run out of the New York Times for creating phony stories. And now he's been run out of the film business because they've used him up, and he's now retired from filmmaking. He also I think he wrote Kill the Messenger. He didn't direct Kill the Messenger, but all of his work, all of his work is deep state-ish. And I just meant to tell you this last week about the Jason Whitlock revelation, which I found to be brilliant.
No, what was he on when he said that? Because I want to check that out.
It was either Finnerty or Rob Schmidt, one or the other.
That's
Jason Whitlock.
Amazing.
Oh no, it was amazing. It stunned the interviewer. It stunned me. I've never heard. It goes into great detail about concussion, Whitlock, and that's how the NFL got woke.
I never put that together. So
no, neither did I.
So extremely well done,
dude. He did it extremely well in the interview.
No, but I'm saying that the op was extremely well done because I never thought of it and never together. It just. But on that note, I did actually have
one additional note. The autopsy and the storyline is based around a African co-coroner in the coroner's office, and he works under a guy that Hunley interviewed named Cyril Wecht in the movie itself and in real life.
Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah. So oddly enough, it happens in the autopsy room of the leading Kennedy conspiracist.
Wow. Well,
yeah.
And of course, the director did Park Lute. But anyway, cool.
Yeah.
But on that note, one of the stories that was sent by Dustin, he sent me this one as well, is that NFL is going on its annual LGBTQ embrace.
Yeah, here we go.
But hold on. But some teams are opting out.
You're going to hear.
There are 10 teams.
Go ahead.
There are 10 teams who have opted out. Dallas Cowboys, New York Jets, Cincinnati Bengals, Cleveland Browns, Indianapolis Colts, Las Vegas Raiders, New Orleans Saints, Tennessee Titans, and the defending AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs, and the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles.
Right. Well, this was part of the discussion, like when Jason Whitlock is woke over in the NFL. And if you begin to hear about concussion again, remember what you heard here today. If they begin to push back again about brain concussions in the NFL, that will be them trying to keep this thing going.
No, now we know something to look for, though.
Yeah, no, I'm saying look for it. Please text me or contact us if you hear anything about concussions with the NFL, because it's been about 4 or 5 years since that has even been mentioned.
Yeah, no, you're right. Because
I know it.
There was questions, I remember a few years ago, where the NFL could even go on. That's right. It's like,
that's right. Remember
how could parents set their kids there, and then maybe we'd be shifting over to soccer finally, because obviously not as many concussions, and that's a world sport. And
where did that go?
That's really interesting.
No,
that's almost worth an episode. Anyway,
no kidding. Yeah, we'll see if we can get Whitlock on.
We should reach out.
No, I love the guy too. The guy's great.
I might have a source. Okay.
Sean
the artist, formerly known as John Cuckus.
That's funny.
LLM. All right. I used to shop at the custom shop. Go Giants.
You know, a lot of people did. I mean, there's custom shops in every city in the country. Some of them have 4 or 5 branches. Every city's got a custom shop. But I mean, if you're looking for shirts and ties too for a reasonable price, I mean, that's the place to go. I mean, they're not really custom made. It's kind of a gimmick that Mortimer Levitt came up with. There are multiple pieces sewn together that you get to choose. And you choose the cuffs, you choose the collars. You have about 20, 30 choices to make, which makes it seem to you psychologically that you're actually getting a custom-made shirt made. You're not. It's a made. And he said, if they ever press you on it legally, remember it's made to order, not custom made, Mark. And he would tell me that all the time. It's made to order, Mark. He actually sounded like Ed Koch, but in a weirder way. It's made to order, Mark, not custom made.
All right. Well, we have Paul Henreid. They bite when they bring out the gimp.
Okay.
Don't know the context of that.
I don't know the context of that other than Pulp Fiction or
Stephen McMahon, Ed's nephew or cousin.
Oh, yeah, Ed's nephew, Steve McMahon, the grandnephew.
There are only about 25 feds in Chicago. If they ever wanted want to act, they have to depend on the
Yeah,
local.
now he's right, and that's why they usually are involved in intelligence work or behind the scenes work, because like Kash Patel rightly pointed out, they're all jammed up in DC, and he wants to spread them out around the country. But nevertheless, I mean, there's 38,000 in the entire country. You know, that's like NYPD plus a few more. There's just not enough to go around to do anything physical. I mean, you know, this is really an intelligence unit, for better or for worse. For better or for worse.
I agree.
It's a glorified intel unit.
Well, for better or for worse, we are going to be heading over to locals.
Well, I just want to plug this thing tomorrow because I'm going to be interviewing Stephen Gibb, and we'll get to Hunley soon. But the first guy that ever interviewed me, and the second one was Hunley, but the first guy to ever put me on his show was Steve Gibb. Now, Steve Gibb is the son of Barry Gibb, the founder and lead singer of the Bee Gees. And he's going to be my first guest tomorrow on What's Up with Lord Buckley, which Eric will be on, and Viva's going to be on, and everyone's going to be on as an interview show separately on YouTube tomorrow at 3 o'clock. So it's like with Steve Gibb, because he was stupid enough to be the first guy to ever interview me. And then I think you saw that, Eric, right?
No, I saw a Dr. Drew interview.
Oh, well, he's coming
I
up
listened
too.
to it.
Drew's going to be on also. But the first guy to ever do it was Steve Gibb. He was an old friend and a great musician. He was he's been in a bunch of bands that heavy metal stuff that you know, some people may know. I don't know if everybody
He's
knows.
got a new band that's very industrial sounding, in my opinion.
Right. It's kind of industrial metal. But I've seen him play with his dad. I saw him at the Hollywood Bowl playing with his dad with holograms of his dead uncles, which was really bizarre. The Bee Gees, and we'll talk about the Bee Gees tomorrow, their origins in Australia and being raised as a son of a Bee Gee. And I'll give you a little tip. There's going to be a discussion about Michael Jackson as his babysitter and also Michael Jackson impersonators as his babysitter. He had both. He had Michael Jackson. This is What's Up with Lord Buckley. You can find it there tomorrow if everything goes right at 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock Eastern. There's Steve on the right. That's his dad on the left there in that thing. And that's him as a baby. But yeah, he is it's funny because Barry is the lead guy of the Bee Gees and the Survivor and the creative force, his father behind the whole thing. And he's made all kinds of other albums with other famous musicians. But I saw Steve play with him, and it was quite exciting to back up his own dad. It was more exciting for him, obviously, than it was for me at the Hollywood Bowl. So we're going to be doing that tomorrow at 6 o'clock Eastern.
All right. Well, I dropped a link in the chat. If you guys want to hit that,
hit that link,
subscribe, and
monkey around.
You'll have better luck with people subscribing.
Dude, I'm not even going to bring it up. Maybe that's the case. I'm just going to take a low profile.
Yep,
I just want to interview my friends in show business, which will basically be the show. I mean, all these different weird writers you never heard of. They're not going to be famous people. They're just people that I know, and they will explain in detail how show business physically works.
All right. Well, there you go. So that's an extra show to watch during the week.
Yeah.
If you guys are looking for, different things to do, that'll be an extra show. And we will talk about this a little bit more as we head over to locals.
Oh, we're going there now?
Yeah, we're going there now.
Okay. I'll go. All right. Let me go to the bathroom. I'll be right with you.
Okay.